Okay, Limeys, I'm going to show you now how I take my herbs. I have my book, Healing Lyme, and I've been doing this for a couple of years now, so it's pretty comfortable for me. Okay, first and foremost, the core herb of Japanese knotweed. I have refilled this bottle exactly 1,000,000 times. I buy my tinctures. I buy Japanese knotweed in cat's claw in 500 milliliters, 500 milliliter bottles, and then I refill them. So you can see the color here. I think we've all experimented with different brands of herbs. You can see the color here is really dark, right? This is a super rich tincture. You want to be looking for good color. And just take more if your herbs aren't as strong. So I take about a teaspoon, almost a teaspoon. I'm not really finicky about measuring these days. And I do this 3 times a day. And cat's claw, same thing. I've refilled my bottle 1,000,000 times. So Buhner says in his book up to half a teaspoon, but he's also remarked that some people need more, like even a tablespoon. So I did take almost a teaspoon 3 times a day when I was at my peak, but I've reduced it a bit. Okay, so in terms of the third herb of the core protocol, I have never taken andrographis because I knew before I started herbs that I was allergic to plants in the daisy family, so I've substituted cryptolepis. Cryptolepis has shown to be the most lethal against spirochetes in vitro. Everybody knows when you're starting to take herbs, always start with 1 drop, right? Just to make sure it's okay for you. I found this herb to be the strongest by far of any other herb. So yes, I strongly encourage you to really truly start with 1 drop, work up to 2 drops, 3 drops. You can see this is the total amount I take now 3 times a day, which is about a 1/4 teaspoon. But I did take more. I got up to almost a full teaspoon 3 times a day. I did that for like 3 or 4 months when I was in my hardcore attack period. So yeah, this is what I'm up to now, but like, do be careful. At one point I got up to this much and I was doing really well, so I doubled it, and I literally found myself on my bathroom floor. So I don't know if you call that die off or if it's like a, gastro thing like with regular antibiotics, but this is a super strong herb. That being said, if you're on a budget, it might be, a good choice if you want to get something strong and you need less of it, okay? So yeah, I take about a 1/4 teaspoon 3 times a day. I'm really on a maintenance dose, so although I've been on the same dose forever, but a maintenance protocol. Okay, so next, my chief complaint was always neurological. If you have neurological symptoms, look at the herbs that Buhner recommends for neuroborealis. He has several headings in his book for different types of neurological problems. I did initially have facial palsy, and neuropathy was my ongoing persistent complaint after antibiotics. But he does have quite a few herbs that he recommends in his section on neuroborealis, etc. I'm just looking at his book here. So he says, for neuroborealis, core protocol plus gotang. So gotang has been a very, very important herb for me since I added it in. My neuropathy resolved like quite quickly. I don't want to say quickly. Neuropathy never heals quickly, but it was really obvious that I improved a lot faster when I started gotang. So I only take about a 1/4 teaspoon. I've never taken more. There's my gotang. And the book does say actually half a teaspoon to a teaspoon, but I never seem to need more. Okay, next, again, I think it's part of the core protocol to take some kind of adaptogen. So Siberian ginseng is the main one. So I take, again, almost a teaspoon, just once a day though, just in the morning because it will keep you awake. Or rhodiola, okay? So I alternate, as Buhner recommends, between, sorry, I think I've got this sideways, between Siberian ginseng and rhodiola. Rhodiola is an herb I buy just from St. Francis. I don't get it from my herbalist. I just find I like this product. Mostly I find the St. Francis products too weak, like their cat's claw is too weak, for example. But I really like their rhodiola. So if I'm taking the rhodiola, I actually only take a quarter teaspoon. Again, I can't really explain why to you. A lot of it is intuitive, but I take a lot less. And I don't find I need more. I find it very, very good for stress management, especially with work. And Chinese skullcap is another herb that's recommended for neurological stuff. So, for example, severe central nervous system involvement, he recommends Chinese skullcap. But I only take, this is going to seem, you know, again, this is all so personal, right? So I only take like a tiny amount, okay? That's all I take, okay? The reason why I don't take more is because I find my anxiety is so low if I take more that I just don't care about things enough at work. If I'm socializing, I can take more and I actually feel very relaxed if I'm hosting a dinner party or something. But if I just take this much, I don't notice any psychoactive effect. It doesn't reduce my anxiety, obviously, but I figure it's still doing something for my neuropathy. And then lastly, I do take Angelica or Dong Quai. Again, I'm using the St. Francis brand. I just like it. And this is also to reduce Borrelia neurotoxins, but I also find it really good for PMS. I've taken it in the past for PMS. So I will definitely, I'll take about that much, again, you know, 3 times a day, but more likely to take it if I actually have PMS or if I'm in that part of my cycle. And really, I think that's it. And I just add water. What it looks like when you add the water. I'm a big believer in experimenting. If you have a copy of Healing Lyme, then you will know you just have to study chapter 8. There are so many different herbs that are recommended for an incredibly wide range of symptoms, like pages and pages and pages of recommendations depending on your specific symptoms, right? So get the book, sit down with a pencil, study it, and experiment, and only try one herb at a time. Only start with a drop, 2 drops, 3 drops, work your way up, and see what works for you. I got headaches from a couple of different herbs. Some people talk about herxing. This was not herxing. I got headaches from them. I'm sure I did because I get them after I was doing super well. I'm just sensitive to certain herbs. So yeah, I'm just looking through this. There's also a recipe for arthritis tea and, you know, chronic fatigue formula, blah, blah, blah. I also, you know, as part of my protocol, of course, have avoided sugars and grains, which is what I mostly do on my YouTube channel. And I, you know, like all kinds of food ideas for not eating sugar and grains. And I also like, you know, incorporate a lot of herbs and spices into my diet, especially turmeric. And yeah, that's it. I do take a few supplements as recommended from the Marty Ross website, especially for neuropathy. I take herbs for neuropathy because that's been my problem, but I do not have any symptoms. My My legs are no longer numb and tingly. My hands are no longer numb and tingly. It's very, very rare that I have any symptoms at all. I still get a teeny tiny rash sometimes when I have a really hot bath. So yeah, that's it. That's how I take herbs. Again, when I was like super hardcore, I would hold the sip in my mouth to, maybe absorb a little bit through the mouth, like sublingual absorption or whatever. Sometimes if I'm in a hurry, I'll just down it. But yeah, on an empty stomach, 30 minutes before meals, 3 times a day. And I do not have a problem with the taste. I don't know. I don't mind. I've always liked bitter foods, so maybe I have a good tongue for it, but I really don't mind it at all. In fact, I find it tastes fine. And what else was I gonna say? I guess, just be persistent. Like, this is a slow game when you're attacking Lyme with herbs. But yeah, I feel, give it, a year or 2 years. And you should, I don't know, again, experiment, blah, blah, blah. Okay. There you go.